You are now tuning into the Vibe with your boys podcast. Starring Kyle the Kid and Mega the Boy. You dig?
It's Kyle the Kid and Mega the Boy, and we are here with another episode of Vibe with your boys podcast. Yes, sir.
What's up, family?
How you feeling on this morning, Mega?
Another blessed one. You feel
Another
me?
blessed one.
Another blessed one.
Me especially, I'm feeling very blessed.
Is there a particular reason?
I happen to be graced with the presence of this great brother right here.
Okay, I think we got the same vibe this morning.
You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Well, my name is Jude, Cheraime. I'm a young pastor, 27-year-old young. Yeah. Want to throw that in there. Young pastor, in the faith, believer, all that. So, I mean, it's good to be here with y'all boys, man. It's
Appreciate you for coming here, man.
Most definitely. And I just want to start off by saying that, you know, with launching the podcast, me and Mega always wanted to go ahead and just be able to talk about everything with anyone. And you were one of the people that I always had in mind to eventually come on, just because getting to know you and hearing you teach and speak on the word, and so much going on in this world, I feel like a lot of people need to see somebody from around our age speak on the stuff that's going on from your point of view. So once again, happy to have you here, Jude, man.
That's dope. I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, so let's get into it, man. 2020. 2020. I've said it time and time again. 2020 has been good to me personally, even though it's been crazy in the world. I'm pretty sure I can say the same for Mega. How has your 2020 been?
2020, I feel like for me, it's been an eye opener. Like that one time that you actually had the opportunity to where you in this box and you actually could look at yourself and see, like, yo, what things I need to improve for myself. So for me, 2020 showed me, like, where I need to improve, how I need to become a better person in every aspect, not only spiritually, because I think people get caught up thinking it's only always spiritual, but like financial, like mental, physical, social. Like it was a learning year, so I appreciated 2020 for that.
Gotcha. We had the quarantine, we had COVID. You know, some people are not good with isolation. How does somebody like you, like a pastor, you know, handle isolation? Because I don't know if you ever thought about it, Mega, like, do pastors have, like, mental issues, like, health, like, as far as, like, you know, quarantine, you're not doing your normal routines. I don't know how much your routine changed, but, you know, did that affect you at all? Just, like...
That's a good question, bro.
It's kind of like who the top person goes to. Like, as a pastor, people come to you with their problems, with their issues. You try to guide them through, but do you have, like, a spiritual leader, or do you have a mentor yourself that you go to and speak?
Especially in these times that we've been in 2020.
Something so complex that's been going on this year.
Bro, that's a good question, because what happened is, off rip, if you a pastor, everybody automatically assume you got it all together. So it's like, you don't need nobody. You don't need to talk to nobody. Yeah. So what happened was, especially during this time, for real, like y'all boys said, it showed you how much you really need people. Bro, even if it's the people consider, quote unquote, under you, if you can find somebody you can confide into and, like, pour into, you it's necessary, bro. Because as we pastors out here committing suicide, pastors out here going through depression because they want to carry that load by themselves. They don't want to tell nobody. But it was necessary to find somebody, like, you know, who I could confide in and speak to make sure, like, yo, I don't be boxed in, because everybody reaching out to you now. They ain't asking you how you doing. They're like, hey, let me tell you what I'm going through. I'm gonna pour into you. This is what I got going on.
I don't think people really, like, think about it. Like, I never really thought about a pastor's mental health, because, you know, they stand in front of you whenever, and, you know, and they come off as a strong leader. You know, as a man, you know, that's supposed to lead, and so I don't think people really think about that. But it's like 2020 has been just, you know, mentally, even if, you know, life has been going good for you personally, like when you see the racial injustice and things like that,
man.
You being a young black man, you know, when you get pulled over, they don't know you're a pastor. You feel me? And being on your color, they may not care.
That's facts.
So it's like, you know, there's that stuff you think about, you know, so much was going on. You know, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. There's a weight on your heart. You know, how did that affect you?
The whole Black Lives Matter. I mean, I don't know, whole Black Lives Matter hoodie right now too. Okay. But the whole I remember at first, like probably a couple years ago, I think when Trayvon Martin happened, I was one of the people who was advocating for all lives matter. I mean, keep it on it. Like I was like, bro, all lives matter.
So this is
man.
like 2012?
Yeah, 2012. I'm like, nah, all lives matter. There ain't no only Black Lives Matter. We can't single out one thing and then forget everybody else. All lives matter. But then as time progressed, you started thinking, for all lives to matter,
Blacks,
every single one has to matter. You can't go to all lives matter if everyone doesn't matter. So Black Lives Matter, like literally, you know, I don't go too deep in it to figure out all these different things. You know, everybody got their own speculation. Yeah. But Black Lives Matter is important because we the ones who suffering. We the ones who, like you said, we getting pulled over. We got to make sure, like, bro, I can't move. I can't act this way. I can't do this because if I do something, man, the cop might he might lay me out. And you don't want that. So, yeah, Black Lives Matter is something that I think I really educated myself in, especially this time, because George Floyd was crazy. That video was... I couldn't watch it. You can't not watch that video and not feel some type of way, man. Like, it's crazy.
When you see a grown man in his 40s, 50s crying out for his mother, bro.
Yeah.
It's like it just hit you different.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like,
it was wild, man. Like, I seen my dad who is like probably the most even keeled person that I know. Man, I seen him get hot watching that video. And you know them Zoes usually don't care about politics and all that different stuff. But
there's no way you could watch that video and not get angered.
Yeah, he was hot.
Yeah, there's no way.
Man, I was pissed, bro.
And I think it's very important that you touched on years ago that you were first saying that all lives matter. And I feel like one of the biggest things when people say Black Lives Matter and somebody combats it with all lives matter is that they're feeling like we're saying that Black Lives matter more.
Yeah, it's greater. Yeah.
Black Lives Matter more. And the purity of the message, I know some people may take it to the extreme lengths and things like that, but it's just like Black lives aren't being treated equally.
Facts.
Like we're not getting the fair shake. We're not getting our just due. So we have to say this and remind people, yo, Black lives matter.
Facts.
Yes, all lives do matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But right now, the Black life is like being shown to be worthless.
Facts.
So, and it's important that, I'm not sure how you came about in your own mindset to realize, what that message really meant. But it's of course, you being a pastor and, everything, we as people grow.
Yeah. Definitely.
However old I was, I'm pretty sure I was in school, probably even like middle school when Trayvon Martin died. I don't even have a grasp. I'm still young, but didn't even have a grasp back then. So when people grow, it just comes down to, do you want to learn? Are you open-minded? But I feel like that's very important that you touched on that, and that's where you work. Because I feel like a lot of Christians as well, they carry the same moniker of all lives matter.
Yeah.
They don't look at this, they don't look at that, but it's not about that. I feel like me and Mega talk about it all the time. People try to make it seem like we don't live in this world. Like,
yeah, that's true.
The way of the world is the way of the world. Like, you can't try to say, oh, you don't look at color and this and this and that. I understand that, but you may not. But the person besides you may judge me by that.
That's true.
And that being alone creates a problem to where we have to address it. We can't just sit back and be like, it doesn't exist.
That's true.
So, once again, I think that's dope, man.
So just take it back a little bit. Like you said earlier, you're a young pastor.
Yeah.
You grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Father being a pastor. So around what age would you say that you felt the path of you becoming a pastor was being more clear to you? Or I guess you would say the calling.
Yeah. I mean, as in a young age, being around my dad off rip, like I felt like that was going to be for me. And then I moved over here in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. And when I moved over here, it was like I was trying to avoid it at all costs, man. I'm thinking I want to be an accountant, I want to be a pharmacist, I want to do all these different things. And I think I remember, because 2012, when I moved to Orlando, I was at UCF. Man, I was wilding. I wild out, boy. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I enjoyed it. I ain't gonna no cap. I enjoyed it, but I know it wasn't me. Like I remember one time I'm sitting in my dorm room, I'm like, nah, this ain't for me, bro. Like
did people then know you were like a pastor's son, or you were just off
yeah, ain't nobody know that.
Yeah,
I ain't telling nobody I'm a pastor, so they can throw that in my face. Nah. I'm gonna keep that at bay. So I think like March 2013, I'm sitting in my dorm. I'm like, nah, this ain't for me. I gotta go back. So I moved back down. But what happened was, I was so consumed in what I was doing in Orlando. When I moved back down, I was trying to blend the two. Like I was in the church, but I was still
1 feet in, 1 feet out.
And I was heavy 1 feet in, 1 feet out. Man, I'm talking everything you could think about in the book. Then I think in 2017, I remember like I heard God like literally in my ear telling me like, bro, you know you're supposed to be in theology school. I'm like, theology school? Mind you, I'm in BC right now. I think I'm in BC for music production. And I'm like, nah, man, music is, I love music. I love making music. And God, like, nah, you got to go to theology school. So I'm like, shoot. I remember I went to them Zoes, and them Zoes was like, oh, nah, boss, you can't do that. Because pastors don't make money. Like, what you going to go there for? So
was it your dad saying this, like your people, or like
my mom and dad, telling me like, bro, pastors don't make money. Because, in the Haitian church, that's a whole different conversation to talk about.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, the Haitian church is real kind of funny when it comes to that. So I'm like, nah, I got to do it. So they was like, all right, bro, if you feel like you got to do it.
So like you growing up, you saying like, you always thought about being a pastor. They like, because, especially, young man of a church, somebody of the older generation always walks up to you, oh, this young guy is going to be a pastor one day. So like your parents never really pushed that on you?
Nah, they was down for the cause, but they was like,
when you became a young man,
they want you like, hey, be a pharmacist and then you could be a pastor.
Yeah.
Secure the money first.
Secure your bag.
Okay.
You feel me? Because like they feel like in the Haitian church, you don't got to go to school to be a pastor, but they can just lay their hands on you, you're a pastor, which is Haitian church funny. But yeah, that was the move. And then right now I'm a senior in theology school, so I felt as if I made the right choice, because ever since then, like, life legit ain't been the same since then.
Okay. So with the aspect, so we were talking about the whole money aspect, right?
Yeah.
We always had this conversation as far as mega churches, right? You look at mega churches, you have the Joel Osteens, you have the T.D. Jakes churches, you have the Creflo Dollars of the world, right? Who personally, he felt that he needed a $65 million jet to travel and preach the word of God. And we always say
for his congregation,
the couple of people of his congregation, not everybody.
The select few.
No, I can't go up to him and be like, I need to go to New York next week. Can I use your jet? He's gonna tell me no.
Facts.
You feel me? What's your take on mega churches? More specifically, what's your take on the churches of the pastors that's in the mega churches that he always say like he don't feel like a pastor should drive a Rolls Royce or a pastor shouldn't live in a certain life. You shouldn't have a mansion.
Yeah.
What's your take on?
You could have a nice house. You could have a mansion. It's a nice house.
I usually say a lot of them, they write books. A lot of them they talk, they speak.
Yeah.
So they make their own money outside the church. But what's your take on, I guess.
But no Lambo trucks.
No, yeah, your wife shouldn't have a Birkin bag. Certain things.
So speak on it, please.
Yo, it's a slippery slope to walk. I ain't even gonna lie to you, because it's like, at the end of the day, I don't believe that God called anybody to live in poverty.
Okay.
I don't think that like you said, if the man writing books, if he doing all these speaking engagements, if he making cash, like, do what you gotta do. But because you a pastor, that if you are here living in a 10-bedroom house, drive, like I guess you got a Rolls Royce, you got a BMW, you got a Mercedes, you got all these things, it's gonna look funny.
It's gonna look weird. Yeah.
It's gonna look funny. So now people gonna come at you like, what you doing for your community? And you better be doing something for your community.
You need a layout plan. Yeah, you need a layout
plan. Because if you're not doing something for your community, they gonna come for you. Like Creflo Dollar, that $65 million jet, he did too much. He did too much. I like that. That's tripping.
But you feel like a jet, he could have used a jet. He could use a jet, though, if he could afford it.
Yeah, like, ain't no wrong first class.
Okay.
Like, you can fly first class, but
if you in the church need to go ahead and head over somewhere, everybody can get first class tickets.
Yeah, you can do that, but it's like, man, you gotta have a $65 million jet. Like, whoa, My man. I mean, better you than me, bro. But me, I ain't gonna do it. Mega churches is just funny. It's funny, bro, because it's a slippery slope to walk, man. You be in there sometimes. I remember one time I went to a church that was a mega church, and it's like my man went up there and he was like, "Yo, I need 100 people."
I know where he going with it too.
I need 100 people to sow $1,000 seed right now because your business is going to boom the minute you sow this $1,000 seed. Now, mind you, you do probably have 100 people in there like, yo, I got this business idea that's going to snap. So if he's saying that, man, I'm telling you, literally more than 100 people sold $1,000 that night. And I'm like, yo, y'all just got $1,000 sitting in y'all pocket ready to blow just like that.
You know, it's crazy you say that because a lot of pastors get like a bad rep because of that. You know, a lot of pastors, and honestly, it's some truth to it. A lot of them are in it for the money. Because honestly, if you're a pastor, let's be honest. If you're a pastor, if you really want to milk the pockets of your congregation, you really can.
Yeah, you can.
You know, because a lot of people goes into church, and they're kind of hopeless sometimes. You know, like they're in whatever situation they're in. You know, obviously you got the people that throughout their whole life they've been following Christ and everything. But some people just are hopeless. Sometimes they just want that hope. And if you come up to them and you're like, oh, you sow this, you sow that, and I'll pray and you make this manifest, a lot of people might go for it.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Because it's a move. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Somebody come and tell you, like, bro, all I gotta do is give $1,000 and my business gonna boom. And he probably talked to God personally. God probably talking to him right now. Like, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna sow that $1,000. But it's sad because, like you said, off rip, then people look at church like, then every church is like that when it ain't even. That's not really the case. So it's crazy. So I mean, I got a question for y'all boys. Like, have y'all seen, like, because especially being in you know, at our church a few times or whatever, like, have y'all, let's say, for example, do y'all see, like, a difference in some churches, or that stigma still remain inside y'all mind in terms of, like, man, church is a business, that's all it's about type thing?
Well, me personally, because I grew up in a church that got, like, house over 1,000 people. So I never really looked at all churches the same. Because I see that, you know, you go to one church, it could be the same faith. Like, I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So even with being Seventh-day Adventist, my church is like, I guess you could say dominantly a Jamaican church. But we got people of all different type of, you know, that go there. But a lot of friends that I have with those, for instance, they're Seventh-day Adventists, and how they operate over there is a totally different thing. As far as the type of things they speak about, and I see the same things with, like, the Baptists and everything. Attending your church a few times and attending other Baptist churches, everybody moves differently. You feel me? I mean, even the message, even if it could be a Baptist or Seventh-day Adventist, the pastor of that church may deliver that message or interpret a certain part of
that church,
the scripture, in a totally different way.
That's facts.
So the whole, you know, asking for money or doing this, I mean, I've seen donations at my church I grew up at, you know, for, you know, to build buildings and things like that, and those buildings actually be built. You know, those programs actually be set in place.
That's good.
But I've heard and seen, you know, people saying that they raised money a year ago or 2 years ago and that building never came or that nothing. So I understand. So me personally, I don't look at our churches the same. No matter of what, like, faith or creed, I feel like there's people in every different belief of Christianity or whatever that really believe in what they're teaching and they're really trying to do good.
Gotcha.
And that's how I look at it.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, in anything you do in life, there's always gonna be bad apples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't really look at one. For example, when I was young, I went to church with my mom at a young age, and for no lie, bro, from like 6 years old to like 13, I was going to that church.
Yeah.
And they never bought a church. And we've been raising money. I promise you, I was 6 years old. I remember my mom, they doing fundraisers, everything, cooking, and $5 plates. Yeah. I'm 13. That's when I stopped going to the church. Yeah. It's like, Y'all never bought y'all didn't have enough money to put down on the church. Better yet, buy the whole church itself. And then you hear the stories like the guy bought a house, right?
Yeah.
Allegedly, he used the money from the fundraising and stuff to buy the house. I mean, we can't really pinpoint and say that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, bro, it's been 7 years. He ain't bought a church yet.
Yeah,
you feel me? So you get those stories. I mean, me personally, the church I've been frequent at when I do go to church as of recent is your church, and I kind of see. Just kind of inside out looking in, outside looking in, I kind of see the way I move. It's very tight knit. I see like y'all very, especially the youth.
Yeah,
the youth at that church is very connected. I feel like you guys are always doing events. You guys are always trying to have different little small groups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I personally, the other church I do frequent sometimes, I don't see that camaraderie, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it from that aspect. But like I said earlier, I mean, every church have their own, situations. You can't really compare churches. You should be able to, honestly, in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
But it's who's running the ship in anything in life. Who's running the ship is very important. And I say this off camera, and I say that to him. I feel like the way I run y'all, especially I'm not talking about the older heads, right? Most of the youth, and being spearheaded by you. I feel like you're doing a great job. Me personally. Now, whereas inside there, I don't know.
Yeah.
Outside looking in, I feel like you guys do a great job in keeping everything in line. So, yeah.
And another thing, so like we were talking about, like you said, how different churches move and things like that. And the biggest thing with Christianity, the church is what actually turns people away. There's a constant debate going on, especially with young people. I mean, people of all ages, really, but I just say from people my age that church turned them off.
Yeah.
Church turned them off.
And you can understand though.
And
Definitely.
And when I have those conversations, I try to explain sometimes, it's a church you go to.
Yeah.
It's a church you go to.
Yeah.
And, people, especially Christians, for some reason, they're so judgmental. And it turns people off. So what do you say to those people? Like, I mean, you could say, come to my church. But what do you say to those people that church turns them off? Like, do they just jump from church to church to church till they find? Like, what do you tell them?
I mean, that's a tough one because church hurt is real. Like, it's a real thing. I wish that people would, blame the church hurt on people and not Jesus himself, because it's actually people who doing it. But I go to a Haitian church all my life, man. I know what it means to be judged by a Haitian. So it's kind of tough. Like, I'm not going to give the older Zoes a pass, but I understand why it's so hard for them to actually be able to grasp onto people when it comes to judging them, because when you grew up somewhere and this is the stigma that they have placed in your head all your life. Like, they told you that if somebody is bad, this is how they look. If somebody is good, this is how they look.
They put like an image to it.
Yeah. So it's like, even though we know that, Christianity is supposed to be done, like, understanding somebody, like, from the heart. We talking about people here. We ain't talking about God. Off rip, people judge off appearance regardless of who you are. So, off rip, once they see whatever stigma is in their mind that what is bad, off rip, that person is bad. You can't tell them that it's good, this and that and the third, whatever. So I think they need, like you said, because every church ain't the same. Like y'all boys said, find a church to where you can actually be accepted for who you are, but at the same time, they're going to push you to grow. Like, that's why I think that's the struggle with churches to find that middle ground, because there's churches that, we're going to let you come as you are, but they ain't pushing you to grow. And there's some of them like, we're going to push you to grow, but now we want you to change right now. So it's like, you got to find like a middle ground to where they accept you just the way that you are, but they're still going to push you to grow in whatever aspect that you need to grow in. So you just got to find that church that's that middle ground.
So basically, you would say, if you're serious about your relationship with God, with Jesus, whatever case may be, you have to be dedicated to find that church for you. You can't just, you may have been going to that church for 4 years, something happened, and you're like, I'm done with church. You have to go out there and look.
Find one, man, because like you said, you be there for 4 years. There might be that one church you go in there, in a year you grow more than you was at that other church for 4 years. So to say like one church, like you get That's like saying I go to Chick-fil-A and I had a bad experience at that Chick-fil-A. You know what, bro? I'm never going to Chick-fil-A again because they all the same. Like, that's crazy. Like, you go to one church, if you got a bad experience with that one church, find somewhere else.
And, you know, I think every church don't offer you. Not every church you go to not gonna offer what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you go in the church, you're really looking for a hands-on guidance. You need that pastor, you need that member of the board that's gonna pretty much take you under their wings and show you the ropes. Then a mega church or a bigger church probably won't be the way for you, right? You might want to go to a smaller church where you know everything is more hands-on, or even sometimes a smaller church. Even though they're a smaller church, they're not even hands-on.
Yeah.
It might be like I don't want to play like this. A business transaction. They come here on Sundays, collect the money, and then see you next Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, you know, if you looking for some food or whatever the case may be, you shop around.
Yeah.
You know, you shop around and see what you want. So I think that's what people should do. You know, don't just stop at one church. Even if you're a member of a particular church, go to other churches.
Yeah.
See how they run their ship, and then, you know, you might be able to take something back to your own personal church. That's what I think we should, you know, incorporate. So
Facts.
yeah, man.
That's exactly what we've been doing these past couple of days. I ain't gonna lie, we go to this church, I'm like, oh, this works for them. Oh, let's bring it, see if it works for us. And then if it do, it don't. All right, try something else.
Yeah, we wasn't doing this whole time.
We
so
just wanted to see how it works. So that's a move for real. Definitely.
Bet. So, one of the things I want to touch on, because along with you, of course, being a pastor, you're also a young man. You feel me? I don't know how you separate the two or whatever, but it's like temptations and everything around that. You know, you work, you're out there. And me and Meg joke about this all the time, especially coming to your church and seeing you speak. Women like a man with power.
Yeah.
Like, who can articulate themselves.
Who can articulate themselves, everything like that. You know, it don't matter what. Like, women are attracted to men with power. And
because, bro, sometimes I see you getting your bag, I'm like, oh, this man is bad right now. Oh, he is bad right now.
So it's like how do you deal with stuff to like that? Not to like delve into your personal life, but you know, it's like you have to move a certain way, but at the same time, you're still human. You're still a guy.
Yeah, that's one of the probably the hardest things to do. No cap, because it's like you said, women for as long as I can remember, bro. If you in church and you doing something, you a musician, you a preacher, you a worship leader, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They gonna come.
They gonna come, yeah.
They gonna come.
You tell me I never did it, bro. I never been that hands on before, but I see.
Yeah, they gonna come. So it's like, I remember when we first started doing our music thing, like I had to develop like a formula, because it's like they would hit you up in your inbox, and then you know you did good tonight, yada yada yada. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, or whatever. And then you know they want to ask you about God for a little bit to make you sure that they're serious. You feel me? Then it's like, yeah, that's cool. And then once I see the conversation about to go left, because I had a girlfriend at the time. Once the conversation go left, it's like, all right, I'm gonna just, here's our SoundCloud link if you want to listen to our music, and I'll see you when I see you.
Yeah.
But even more so now, because it's even more serious. It's like you just can't have certain conversations.
Who don't want to be a pastor?
Yeah, man.
That's first lady of the church.
Yeah,
Best thing after president.
yeah, listen, everybody gonna try to, every dumb gonna try to make you show you as to why they should be in that position.
Trying to be Mrs. Osteen,
Extra
Mrs.
stuff in the
TDJ.
church.
They gonna show you that, all that stuff. So it's like you gotta be able to discern who real and who not. And sometimes, like I said, you can have a conversation. It's a possibility it could go left, and sometimes it end up going left, and it's too late for you to turn around, because we already in it. So but that's a slippery slope to walk. But I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro.
Along with all that, so you say you gotta have, you know, show some discernment, you know, be able to tell what's what. How does that like work for you? Because as a pastor, would you say that you have to find somebody already in the faith?
Oh yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna even try and experiment just because I already know like the crazy that can come from that. I gotta make sure that you know they're in the faith. But one thing that I feel like that's important for me is that the person who I eventually marry, I want to make sure that they don't see the pastor, they see Jude. Because if you see the pastor, then you like me for my title. Like
Yeah.
they ain't real.
Yeah.
But if you like me for who I am,
are.
like without the title, when I'm not behind the pulpit, or I ain't got a mic in my hand, that's when it's real. So that's the only thing that's kind of difficult right now. I ain't gonna say I don't have options, because they there.
Tell me, brother.
but it's to actually see like who is legitimate. Like that's the struggle right now.
Do people that you normally interact with on that level, do they usually know you're a pastor already, or there's sometimes it's just a simple me, and they don't know that? You would have to like let them know that.
Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't. And when they don't know and then they find out, their whole perception of you change, like the vibe.
I kind of wish I could experience that for myself.
Like the whole
Them not knowing, it's
vibe.
like, yeah, I'm a pastor.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you just invite them to church one day and then you don't do the sermon.
Yeah. I mean, this one time, like, man, she found out I was a pastor, and it was like, yo, every day she want to talk about the scripture, like, every day, literally. And I'm like, bro, I'm all for that. Don't get me wrong, like, we could talk about the Bible, but even me, I know for a fact, bro, I'm not trying to talk every conversation we talking about every single time we talking about the Bible. Come on, like, we could talk about different things. Like, let's talk about life, man. Like,
Yeah, it's true, because you have some people that find out you're a pastor, they act weird. Like,
Yeah.
they feel like they can't just have regular conversations with you. And that's another reason why when we decided to bring you on, I'm like, I know we can just have a regular conversation, just talk about everything, right?
Facts.
Whatever the case may be, keep it on an honest level. So that being said, John Gray, right?
Oh yeah, I couldn't remember his name. I was hoping you remembered it.
So John Gray, allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not too allegedly, because he said he came out and said it.
yeah.
He got caught cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Again,
The first time. It was one of the first time he got caught cheating on his wife. He went in front of the congregation, I'm sorry, whatever. And when I seen that, I'm like, bro, sometimes, man, as a man, you want to test your powers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's in the predicament. He's a pastor. You can't really do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want to test your powers. So, everybody make mistakes. You can do it a second time.
Yeah.
You can't go to the congregation after a second time.
Say, I'm sorry.
You didn't say you're sorry.
you gotta go.
You have to
Yeah.
go. So, as a pastor yourself, right? How do you feel about that? One time you mess up, okay, I understand. But second time you mess up again, like, how you feel about that?
Yeah, John Gray was interesting. I remember I had a conversation about that with somebody like a couple of weeks ago. So, like you said, one time you mess up, it is what it is. We not perfect.
Yeah.
We in the flesh or whatever. If you mess up the second time, you can still use the same excuse now. Like, you can say,
I was trying to make you kind of weird.
yeah, I'm still in the flesh, but it gets to the point that, do you even believe in what you're preaching, bro? Like, do you even live by the standard that you want people to carry?
Now let's be fair. I'm gonna be quote unquote devil's advocate. In the Bible, which I'm pretty sure you know well, you clearly better than me. All the great men in the Bible, I mean, not all, but a lot of them were tempted by the powers of a woman at some point and fell to the wayside. From David, you got a few. So, and David especially, got man of God's own heart, and things like that.
Yeah, my
so
man did something crazy.
Pastor John Gray, it's the second time it slipped up. He can.
No, bro, I ain't got no problem with him. My man could, of course, he asked God for forgiveness.
We all
human. Yeah, of course. But I think what is important too is just like, what type of impact is that going to have on the body of Christ in itself?
Yeah.
Because at that point, people are going to be like, well, shoot, if your own pastors can't control themselves, like, why would I even come in the thing? So, like, don't get me wrong, he could ask for forgiveness. He's going to be forgiven, all of that.
Most definitely.
But I think if he got to take a break and step down for a bit, and make sure, let me get myself together. Because I think that's one of the things that pastors struggle with is honesty. Like, this is my struggle. I
don't got it all together right now.
Let me fix myself before I go ahead and try and be on the pulpit telling people, do this, do this. Because fool me once, shame on me, but then fool me twice, it's shame on you. Because at that point, it's like, I already showed you what I was capable of. Like, why but you still trusting me? You know what I mean? So it's like that. He gotta, if he gotta step down, go to therapy, whatever it is. Like, I commend his wife, because boy, I'm telling you, there's some people that first time they would have been out, but like, for the fact that she's still with him, even in the midst of all of that, like, she's still encouraging him. It's cool, but if you gotta step down, step down.
I mean, kind of when you said the first time they would have been out, right?
Yeah.
We just talked about the power of a pastor, right? What she really has been out there. I mean, you're dating one of the biggest pastors in the world. I mean, you know, but
that life, boy.
yeah, man. So, Mike Todd. I'm not sure if you're too familiar. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know who Mike Todd is.
Yeah.
Okay. So he always say he goes on a 7-week sabbatical, right? Where he just pretty much just drops everything, goes away, and just work on himself. You know, like we talked earlier, the burden, the burden that you carry as a pastor. Sometimes you need to get away.
Yeah.
And you know, he talked about that's how he came up with his whole relationship goals book, whatever the case may be. You as a pastor, do you feel sometimes you need to do that too? Like just kind of go away, or not really go away, but kind of step down and probably have somebody else carry the, you know?
Yeah, it's necessary. I feel it's like right now I'm kind of like, you know, in the early stages of trying to build my foundation, so I ain't gonna get there yet. But for somebody in the space of Mike Todd, there's a pastor who I like watch. His name is Howard John Wesley. Like he became famous in December because he preached a sermon saying like, yo, he's tired, like he's drained. Like he said he was gonna go on a sabbatical from January to April because he just needed like time away type thing. And I feel as if it is important because, bro, if you going, like, and you leaving this, because like I said, people coming to you consistently, yo, I need help with this, I need prayer with this, help me with this, and it's like you don't have no time to check yourself. You're gonna burn out. And then when you burn out, you wild out. You do things, you're doing things that you know you're not supposed to do. So I'm all for sabbaticals. I'm like, if a pastor say, yo, I need a break, I need to get away, let him get away. That's why you're supposed to have other people in the church to keep it going. Yeah, it's important, man.
Most definitely. And just dealing with, you know, keeping it on far as like, you know, the young life of a guy, would you say, like, you being a pastor, men and women, they talk about like submission and things like that, and you being a pastor, isn't it more like imperative, you would say, that you find a woman somebody who's going to listen to you and follow your lead? Because if you can't have your woman follow your lead, how can you expect your congregation to follow your lead and things like that? So would you like
that's
speak
on that's a scripture too. 1 Timothy 3, you said that if you can't lead your household, how you going to lead the church? So it's like we live in a generation where it's tough for women to want to submit. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
Everybody can be independent.
Yeah. So women off rip, you know, feel as if they don't need a man because they could do it all themselves. So for right now, it's kind of tough for us young men to find a woman who's willing to submit, if I'm being honest. But they out there. I ain't gonna say they're not out there. Yeah. But the list ain't as lengthy as it once was. But it is important for a woman to submit, but not in the sense because I think the word submission sounds like if my man say jump off the cliff, ask him how high.
No.
But it's not that sense. It's just like she has to trust that at the end of the day, you are going to lead y'all in the right direction. So if you find a woman who is willing to trust you in that regard, mind you, her opinion still matters. Like everything that she says to you is still going to have value. It's just at the end of the day, she lets you have the final call because she trusts you. Yeah, that's important.
And real quick, and I always say to women when I'm having that discussion or argument or debate, it's not just submitting to any type of guy. God has to be the leader of his life.
That's facts.
You can't submit to a guy that he's lost.
Yeah.
He's lost and blind. If you were doing that before, I understand why you're now skeptical of the thought of submission. But if you're messing with a guy or dealing with a guy that, you know, God is clearly the focal point of his life, or he has that sense of faith to where he goes to God for guidance, that should be the type of guy that you submit to if he's the guy for you. So it's not just submitting to a guy. It's submitting to the right type of guy that has the right mindset.
That's what I was gonna say too. You took the words out of my mouth. As a guy, as a man, you should have, your wife should trust you because she sees the way you, like, the path you're going down. Right? A lot of times you guys, like, you know, you dating a female, it's not that they don't want to be submissive, it's like, how can I trust you? You feel me? You should put that foot forward. And a lot of time, you know, people don't have, you know, God in the center of their life and whatever the case may be. Me personally, like I said, I grew up in the church. I from 13 to like maybe 19, I kind of stopped going. Then I kind of try to go back on track. I always said that I feel like God, if you really want to live the life of, you know, doing it the right way, I feel like you have to have God in the middle. At least try. You know, make that effort. So as a woman, when a woman is, you know, you with a woman, whatever the case may be, if they really can't trust you, how do you expect for them to be submissive to you? Like I can't really trust your opinion. You feel me? So I just lost my train of thought. But I remember. So as a youth pastor, whatever the case may be, I'm pretty sure in the church there's a lot of things, you know, young men is, you know, going down that path of, you know, dating and stuff like that. Do they come to you for advice about the right woman or what they should do?
We kind of have conversations, like not really so the young men, but I feel as if in its entirety, like, you know, say for, you know, when we doing Bible study and we hit some of those points, talking about relationships and whatnot. So as a group, we hit relationships all the time because, like, cause of something that was legit. Because it's like, how do you expect a woman to submit to you when you're not even submitting to God? Because that's the only way you're gonna get direction. So because it's both sides. Because even, let's say, for the woman submission, the man, the Bible calls the man to love that woman the same way Jesus loves the church. And what did Jesus do for the church? He died for the church. So you gotta love your wife literally unconditionally. So if you're not loving her unconditionally, then how you expect her to submit to you? And I feel as if, like, off rip, especially us as young men, we immediately go into the relationships like saying, hey, you gotta submit. You got to make sure you submit.
We're not showing anything.
We ain't showing nothing, but you got to submit.
They show no leadership skills.
What are you? What have you shown me to make sure that you submit? And it's like, nah, you just have to because that's what it is. But that relationships, I think, it's the Bible. It's so crazy because it might seem as if like the Bible standard is like outdated, but to be honest, it's actually still it's a move. It's still the move because if you submit to Him and He loves you the way Christ loved the church, I mean, you're going to be good either way.
Bet. And another thing, as far as, I know you have your friends, you know, got some guys you consider your brothers of the church and things like that. But how does personal life in terms of friendships, like, do you have friendships with people like who are outside of the church, you would say? Like, how does that work, especially with you being a pastor and things like that, man of God? You know, do you limit yourself? How does that work?
So like I remember like what happened was, let's say for example, when I moved back down, I realized like some of the friends that I had prior to me, you know, before even becoming a pastor, I had to like pull myself away from them a little bit because I remember I would try to invite them to church and them boys are like, you know, what am I going to do at church? Like type thing. So it's like I had to pull myself away from them. So obviously the brothers that I got in church with me, those days they my guys. But the thing was good about them boys is that we ain't, like I said, I love God, I'm all about God, but don't come to be being stuck up. We can't talk about anything else. And we can legit talk about everything else. We can talk about music, whether it be secular or CHH. We can talk about sports, basketball, football, whatever it is. Like, we don't got to sit down and always talk about God. But at the end of the day, we know that that's our foundation. And that's where it's difficult to have friends on the outside because it's like sometimes that ain't the foundation.
Certain things, we can't do.
We can't talk about or whatever. Like, and even I wouldn't say talk about because we could really talk about everything, but then we understand what
certain
the
activities you can't really be involved in.
That's pretty much what it is. So to say, do I have friends like outside of church? Not really. I know a lot of people outside of church, but because you know the word friend is used loosely now. So it's like I know a lot of people outside of church, but like the friends that I have, like they all in church.
Gotcha.
So that leads me to my next question. So a lot of people has the thing, okay, I can be spiritual without going to church, right? Without being in church. And earlier on, maybe through my teens, I kind of felt the same way. But then as I started going back and actually reading again and again, I feel like you can, but it's hard because who's gonna sharpen your iron when it's dull? You feel me? So it's not about that you need church to be spiritual, but you need church to stay on that straight path, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone that has that take on, spirituality and religion and
I'll
church?
tell them exactly what you just said. Like literally everything, because it's cool that you can, feel as if you can have a connection with God by yourself, but you need people. You need people, because
everybody mess up.
Bruh, that's where I saw, like literally, I think the pandemic would made me saw the value of being with people in church. Like I think we used to take it for granted, like being together, like actually physically seeing people actually talking about talking about the gospel, instead of doing it online. Because man, you can watch that online, ain't the same. Half the time I'm when we was doing online churches, half the time I wasn't even paying attention. I ain't even gonna lie to you, because it's like the person's not physically there with you, so it's kind of hard for you to pay attention. But when you have people around you, like you said, when you weak, their strength builds you up. So you need to be around people. Like I don't care what nobody say, because you gonna try to do it by yourself, but it's
gonna be hard.
Hey, the enemy gonna turn up on you, bro.
And with anything, and when you working out, you need a gym partner to keep you going.
Facts.
Anything you do, you need a collective to keep you going. So, yeah,
that's facts. Bro.
All right, so as we're ending off, getting to the final part here, I wish that we could talk more with this guy here, Jude, man, but especially unfortunately, time won't allow. So it's a few things on my heart. I just want to throw out there and just see what you think. I'm gonna start off. I don't know if Megan on the same frequency late with me, but how do you feel about horoscopes?
Aye.
We live in a funny world right now, and I'm not anybody who may be watching this. I just want to know for myself,
you goofy.
I mean, how do you feel about horoscopes? Because people, especially nowadays, there's this term spiritual.
Yeah.
And
very loosely, by the way. That term is loose. Oh my God! But continue.
And I grew up in the church once again, so spirituality means
one thing.
When I think about it, the relationship with God and things like that. Growing up in this world, the word spiritual is turning, it's like a combination of that, mixed with a little bit of that, and
boy, it's so much. Like you said, it's loose. It's loose now, boy.
So, how do you feel about horoscopes, and what would you tell people of your congregation, that may, associate with that too much, or Yo,
I remember in high school, like when Twitter was. I mean, Twitter probably still kind of popping, but I remember high school Twitter was popping, and like people used to have them daily horoscope tweets every day. Like literally, like this is what this is what frequency I'm on today or whatever, and they ain't a move, bro. Like the horoscopes in them, because it's like I just find it funny that you would believe a horoscope to tell you like how you should move and what's your personality and how you should function, but it's like when somebody come and tell you about God's like, nah, I ain't trying to hear that, bro. Like that sound crazy.
Like you believe in science more than you believe.
But nah, horoscopes ain't a move, bro. Like I don't even know how you Christian you can believe in that, to be honest.
That's what I say.
Yeah,
they don't mix. They don't. I mean, it just in terms of that, and I think a lot of horoscopes are based off of like Greek mythology and things like that, and I'm just like, they don't even mix. It's like Greek gods and goddesses and things like that with God. It's like
I don't even know how to. I don't know.
It don't even correlate, and it's like. I guess it's something fun to do, I guess if you want to leave it at that, like, I'm a Gemini, I'm a Capricorn, little something fun to do, but it's like living your life by it.
I remember.
And people are different. I understand that, but I feel like for Christians, it's a slippery slope for people to try to either mix both or things like that. So,
well, you got some Christians who like they'd find like quote unquote. Let's say I'm a Scorpio. If I'm a Scorpio, they going like, okay, you a Scorpio. Let me find out a Gemini. Let me see our compatibility to see if it's going to work. And it's like, if it doesn't show that we're compatible off rip, they're like, I don't know if we could work. Mind you, they didn't even try to see what y'all got going on or anything. But because the horoscope said you're not compatible off rip, I don't know, bro. Can't be Christian in horoscope.
It's weird because the stuff is general. Like if you read the actual horoscopes, they're so general. Like it could relate to anybody. Like it got to a point where I started telling people the wrong birthday. Like when they first, oh, what month you born? March. Oh, yeah. Oh, I could see that. Oh, yeah, you can, huh? You can see that, huh? It's like, bro, it's like it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's real comic, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one. As far as just like, we live in, I guess you could say, a society where it's the trend of mental health. But me personally, and I'm not here to debate who's going through what or who's going, through anything, because I don't know. But do you feel like some people are now caving into society's mindset of like, oh, I'm depressed, like I'm this, I'm that, or you feel like people are entitled to feel how they are, but it's how they're living their life. Maybe if they were more connected with God, because depression's happening in the church.
Yeah.
Depression happens in the church. So what do you think it is? Is it like society's like, just saying like, it's okay to be depressed, this and that, or what do you think? I mean, everybody has their lows, but depression, like that's something different.
I don't think people understand the severity of depression, right? I think everybody's sad. Everybody go through stuff in life. You're like, I'm down, right? But a lot of people just throw the like, you're sad. Like today's not my day. Okay, I understand. But you just throw the word depressed around. It's cool now.
It's very cringy. Like something don't go your way. This thing got me depressed. I'm like, huh? Yeah. So it's like,
it's crazy, bro. So I mean, depression. To me personally, I think depression is. I feel like off-rip is a spiritual issue. Like
there's a
but
disturbance.
don't get me wrong. I do. There are Christians who do go through depression.
Yeah, definitely.
Like everybody go through depression. What I find it crazy to me is that because obviously off-rip, you go to the doctor. When they say you're depressed, they're going to give you medication that is supposed to stimulate you and make you feel good about yourself. I just find that crazy. Like, how can we find medication that makes me feel good? Like, how does that even work? Like, that I find that crazy to me, because I really think it's just a spiritual and mental issue. And we need Jesus literally in that aspect to be able to help us overcome depression. Now, there are some people who aren't in the faith, and you come and tell them, like, yo, all you gotta do is accept Jesus Christ as your personal savior, and they're gonna look at you like you crazy. But at the end of the day, to me, I feel as if somebody is in one with God, because I think anything that we go through at the end of the day, whether you're Christian or not, if you're in the faith or not, things are going to happen in your life. Depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, it doesn't matter. Not because you're saved that means off rip you
not at all.
You're deprived from it. But at the end of the day, when you are saved, you have something to run to.
You have tools.
Like, you have tools to where you can actually go to where you can overcome, because to where, like I said, depression, somebody's depressed and then they tell you, yo, it's this pill that's going to make you it's going to make your emotions start to pick back up. That's kind of funny to me. Like, I've never been able to really grasp onto that, because it's like, how can a pill control how I'm feeling about myself? Like, that's very, very different. But I mean, at the end of the day, I would always tell somebody like, yo, when you're depressed, the only person who can help you overcome depression is Jesus himself. Like, literally, if you go to him, because he is going to help you overcome. Does that mean it won't come back? It probably will, because Satan ain't gonna stop. Your flesh ain't gonna stop. Like, emotions are still there, but you have someone to run to. That's how I feel about depression.
Got you. As far as you personally, the I guess you could say, like, the nightlife, the entertainment life. You're a pastor, you're a young man. Enjoying yourself recreationally. I guess you say, drinking, smoking, things like that. Were those issues for you? Were those like temptations that, like, or what are your viewpoints on it? Because some people say, smoking is natural, this and that. And me personally, I don't do it, and I never had. I think everything is good in moderation. But you, real quickly, you speak on that and tell me what are your thoughts on it.
I mean, so like, let's say, like I was telling you guys, when I went to Orlando, in high school, I used to drink a little bit. Like, when we pulling up at the parties, I was always the one who had the lick or whatever.
Okay.
But when I went to college, like, I became an avid smoker. Like, I stopped drinking, period, because I hated it, because how it make you feel. But smoking weed, like, we did everything you could possibly think of with weed, to be honest. But once, obviously, you grew in the faith, I mean, I understood, like, let's say, for example, because drinking, the Bible says, you can drink, just don't drink to get drunk or whatever. But in all actuality, who drinks to not get drunk?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get wasted when they get when they get drunk. And even smoking in itself, like you said, things are in moderation. Do they use marijuana for certain things in terms of in the medical field? Of course they do. But when somebody's being recreational with it, like, are they doing it for medical reasons, or are they just doing it just to have a buzz or whatever, or make them forget about anything that they're going through at that current time? Anything that is going to take you out of your proper mental state, I feel as if you should stay away from. Like, if it's something that's going to make you not be who you really are, like, you should stay away from it. So whether it be marijuana, alcohol, we go even deep, cocaine, meth, all these different things, they make you go beyond who you really are. You're not yourself, so you do stuff that you wouldn't typically do. So that's not, because it's not yourself. Like, why would you even want to partake in something like that? I don't even think, to me, I don't feel as if you need to be Christian to think that way. I think that's anybody should be able to think that way, because at the end of the day, you would want to be in control of yourself. Now, mind you, people are going to tell you marijuana, you possibly can still be in control of yourself, but I've seen some people do some wild stuff while they smoking weed. Like, so I know that maybe some people can handle it, some people can't. But at the end of the day, if it takes you out of your proper mental state, I think we should always stay away from it.
Facts. You got something you want to touch on before we clear out?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that you guys are okay, because I know the other day, like, Miami lost to the Lakers. I hope that you guys didn't feel too bad about that.
What's your favorite team, before you continue?
I'm a Laker fan. You know that.
Whoa! Aren't you a Golden State fan?
No, I'm a Steph Curry fan. I love Steph Curry. That's my favorite player ever since Kobe left. But I am a Laker fan through and through. I've been with the Lakers since 2000. Since we played AI in 2000 NBA Finals.
I don't want to call you a liar, but you gonna say you're a liar?
That is crazy.
I remember, what was it, 2-3 years ago, we was talking about the Golden State Warriors.
Yes, because, bro, Steph Curry. Because of Steph Curry. Only because of Steph Curry. But I'm an avid Laker fan. Mind you, I'm not that big of a LeBron fan. Because, the whole beef with him and Kobe. So, like, I was always Kobe. So, like, even with him on the Lakers, it's kind of hard for me to root for him. I'm not going to even lie.
I thought you was a man of God, Jude.
Why are you lying to me right now?
I'm telling you.
Why is man lying to me right now?
I'm telling y'all,
right,
bro. Laker fan through and through, bro. I mean, I wasn't even that excited for this championship just because of the bubble and all that stuff. Like, I feel as if it was in Staples, I would have cared a lot more. But, I mean, I was surprised Miami got there. I ain't going to lie to you.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Because you probably gonna say because I'm a Miami fan, man.
I was surprised.
No, they played well, man. I mean,
I was nothing to be disappointed about. They wanted to compete. We battling through injuries and things like that. It is what it is.
I'll give it to y'all, because what happened this year, with the death of Kobe and everything like that. Y'all needed something to lift the spirit of LA. Well, I say y'all, they needed, because not like they needed something to lift the spirit of LA. But yeah, man.
But all in through, Jude, man, we appreciate you for coming here and joining us. Real quickly, you want to just shout out your church, people of your church, where people can find you or anything like that, or anything coming up that you want to know about.
I appreciate it. This was dope. This was a cool vibe. I go to New Calvary Evangelical Church. We on 3601 West Davie Boulevard. We a Haitian church, but especially when we are in charge of the service, it's a lot more different than the Haitian vibe.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, it ain't really like, you're a typical Haitian church, but we try to be as authentic as we possibly can be. We try to make sure that at the end of the day, everything that we do is to glorify God and to help other people. So look for our church on Facebook, New Calvary Evangelical Church. You can find me anywhere, really, on Facebook and Instagram. Just type my name, which is Jude, and last name is Cheraime. You'll be able to find me, Instagram, Facebook. I don't be on Snapchat like that, so I don't even So, but it was, like I said, it was a cool vibe. I appreciate it, and y'all boys keep doing y'all thing, bro.
Most definitely appreciate it. So, thank you for watching, man. I want you guys to like, comment. If you already haven't, subscribe, and let us know any questions down below, or what your thoughts on this episode. There's something different for us that we jumped out. So that being said, it's Kyle the Kid, Mega the Boy. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, it is.